So yesterday we talked about things that you shouldn't waste your money on. Now we are going to talk about three key things that if you invest a good amount of money in, you can make your growing 10 times, 100 times, a million times better. So we're going to jump right into it. Three things you should not cheap out on when it comes to starting your grows. So thing number one should be extremely obvious. It's the source for photosynthesis. It gives you all your secondary traits that you want. It's lights, grow lights. You should not cheap out on grow lights. And guys, when I talk about cheap in this video, I'm using it as it might not be super expensive, but make sure you're buying something that's not cheaply made. The price tag does not a higher price tag does not necessarily mean it's going to be better, but making sure you're actually doing your research, looking at reviews, maybe looking things up on YouTube where you can see a visual tutorial on a product. Make sure it's not cheaply made. That is how we're going to be using that word today. But grow lights. LEDs are optimal, especially if you can't heat up your room that much. It saves a lot on heat, saves a lot on energy, saves a lot on money. And LED lights are not extremely expensive like they used to be. Arguably, they're a lot better. They're obviously a lot more conservative on energy. They don't give off a lot of heat. They are very sufficient at using as much energy as possible into the light energy rather than creating heat. They are a perfect option, and LEDs are extremely cheap, and you can find a lot of well-made LEDs that are full spectrum lights that work both for veg, flower, and also the seedling stage. If you dial them down quite a bit, they do come with adjusters and dimmers. Guys, if you want a better grow and you're using something other than modern LEDs, you might have a huge problem just from the start, just from using a suboptimal light that gives off too much heat, that isn't efficient, and is dumping money right in the garbage that you could be using for anything else. So save on electric, save on money, buy a great crafted LED for very cheap. SF2000, I believe I bought for $200. It might have been $300, but $200 gets you an SF2000 in any case, and then you're going to save a lot on electricity as well. So I would definitely check out modern LED companies and find a well-crafted light that's going to work really well for your plants and also give off a higher yield. Thing number two that I want to talk about today is your grow space in general. You're going to want to invest in a good grow tent. If you're buying a grow tent, you're going to want to use a quality room in your house and make the sacrifice of that space. If you want to grow in your home, in a room, in a garage, shed, whatever, it does not matter as long as you put a good amount of money into making sure, a good amount of money and time, making sure that it's well crafted, it's going to insulate well, it's going to have the airflow that it needs. Those sorts of things. You're going to be able to regulate the temperature extremely easily. It's not going to get super humid randomly. All sorts of things. And if you're growing outdoors, this also applies to you, because if you're growing in a greenhouse, obviously you need a well-constructed greenhouse. But if you're doing a pure outdoor, you're also going to want to find a good place in the yard. You might have to fence it up to keep from yard pirates. You might have to put up an electric fence for the yard pirates, honestly. You might have to sacrifice the best spot in your yard that gets the most sunlight, that gets the least amount of shade, the perfect spot to where you are going to be able to grow that cannabis plant in the best environment. That takes time, that takes effort, money, and sacrifice. So it also applies to outdoor growers. So don't think you're being left out. Thing number three to invest in is good harvesting and good curing equipment. Now, for curing jars, you can obviously use any jar that you find in your kitchen, leftover spaghetti sauce jars and those sorts of things, jelly, jam, peanut butter jars, those sorts of things. But it's not going to give you the best seal, and it's not going to give you the best humidity regulation when it comes to the curing process. I would opt for buying better jars, and then harvesting equipment, making sure you have good racks to dry your plants on. If you use racks, whatever surface you use, you're going to want it to be quality. You don't want your plants falling over. You don't want them breaking. Good harvesting scissors. You can get good trimming shears for extremely cheap, and you can normally buy them in packs of 3, so then when 1 or 2 are dirty, you can soak them in alcohol or whatever you decide to use to get it off. I recommend alcohol. It makes it extremely easy. You just soak them for about 10, maybe 15 minutes while you're trimming away on a different pair of scissors, and then you can just rub that off extremely easily, the residue that's left over, and then get back to trimming. It's extremely simple. Alcohol would be a good investment too, but that's only like 96 cents at any store, so just make sure you buy good trimming shears. You can buy them on Amazon. They're very durable. I'll actually leave a link to some of the ones that I have used in the past. I promise you they are quality, and you can get a nice clean cut, very close cut, however close you want, and it's definitely worth the investment. So those are some things that I hope can help you be a better grower. Definitely worth investing the money if you're making the first time investment, or if you're thinking about getting new equipment. Definitely do your homework on quality equipment. Make sure you look at reviews, because a lot of this stuff is kind of unregulated, especially if it's specifically for cannabis growers. You can get a lot of companies that are trying to scam you out of your money, that are making terrible product and just shipping it out and calling it cannabis grow equipment when it's just straight garbage. So make sure you're going to a reputable company for all of this stuff. Make sure you're doing your homework on looking at brands and the reviews, and make sure you're buying something quality, because the last thing you want in your garden is for something to go wrong, and then even though something's under warranty, they can't get a replacement for you for months, and then you're SOL and JWF. So there you have it. Hope that these tips and tricks help, I hope that these tips help you, and that you can invest in better equipment to save you money and save you time. Thank you very much.